It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Nima Akasha Zabiri. How you doing?
I'm fine. I want to do a shout out to Omoumi Dada, the actress that was in this.
Mommy, Dada,
We know her now.
Yes,
She's
now.
She's been on
Doesn't
review
mind.
before. So she's recently on at the Michigan University. I'm trying to get all the posts together as an, what's it
Lecturer,
called?
guest
Yes,
lecturer?
a guest global artist in residence. And this is somebody that I have their number. Doing big things like this. I don't know how I missed this news. But I found out very,
Says
very
on her
late.
page. I think I'm following her.
Yes, I wasn't following her. That was the fault. So I have apologized and I followed because we're doing WhatsApp. I thought it was Instagram. So I followed like this, sharp. Congratulations on Mommy. I'm very proud of her. She's one grounded actress amongst them that no controversy. She don't want drama. And academics is something I love, seriously. Well done.
How you doing, Tokwe?
I'm happy to be awake and grateful to be alive. But
What happened that you haven't slept?
it's been a very busy. On Friday I was saying busy season, but I committed to a few things. So I was the co-anchor for City People Real Estate award yesterday. I made the commitment without realizing what my schedule will be like. So site inspection, allocation. Customers, I'm going to apologize. I've apologized to them one-on-one, and I'm apologizing now. So my Ijebu, I collapsed 2 estates into one day. I didn't think about my clients and the impact it will have on them. So the representatives had to wait for hours when we finished one location before going. They raked. I apologized and apologized. So next time I won't do that. We will do separate
split it.
days.
Yeah.
It was just I was trying
spend
to
the
cut
money.
costs, and I
Yeah.
admitted. They were happy that they felt that she was really humble, but I knew they were really angry. It was just the apology that got to them. So I'm apologizing to you again. I'm sorry. We'll do better next time.
How you doing, Obiajulu?
Hey, I don't have energy. I've been doing
down.
a water fast
Yes.
for 3 days. Today's the 3rd day. So I ate last Thursday, 9 p.m. Just had yogurt here. Because of the fair and the sales were not that much, I was just buying waffle, pass I buy, abacha, pass I buy. We were just eating. So by the time I looked at my face in the mirror the next day, I wasn't liking what I was seeing.
Yeah.
I said, I had to fast. So, but I'm going to end tonight. Let's say like 5 p.m.
That's showing
And I
your
start
body.
with my I'm
Popping.
looking like I like when I saw myself in the mirror today. I'm like, girl. Then immediately I'm going into the keto diet. Bam. Yes, we have to look a certain way for this December,
Yes,
dirty
sir.
December.
You reminded us that we're in the vanity business.
Yes, so we gotta look good.
We gotta look good.
I had a very busy weekend too. Friday, I was MC at the 12-hour praise in my church. And I was MC, you cannot just you can't go and sleep somewhere.
Never.
You must be MC. So I did that. And then Saturday, I had a fantastic one-day party. Congratulations to Uncle Ola Ogune. He gave out his daughter in marriage. I mean, the party was fabulous.
Was lit.
Fabulous. Usually when you go to one-bed parties, and you enter the party, the DJ is the one playing, and eventually the band comes in. This one, they used a different system. The band was playing from the beginning. From the parking lot, as you're entering like this, your body's already I was like, this is different level. I mean, and it was fun to have the party. There was lots of, listen, I had a ball.
enjoyed.
Yeah.
You love parties.
I
we
know, I
know.
enjoy, I dance. No.
We
That's the
know
first time.
already.
When I'm doing next party I'm doing, I'm using that style. Let the band start from the beginning. PJ just like he enter somewhere, but band is the deal. Anyway, so on Sunday, Yinka Banere, Mr. Yinka
I'm the girl.
Banere invited me for a charity. He's been feeding 100 people every year.
Wow.
I was surprised. Supporting them with school, education, scholarships, and stuff like that. Congratulations, Mr. Yinka Banere. Thank you so much. It was really nice. So it was a busy weekend for me. Back to back. So I have not slept. If I can get some sleep this week. All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
We're going to start with The Nation. Imo Kogi governorship polls. Uzodinma Ododo triumph. Inflation rises on soaring food energy prices. Terrorists kill 100 in Burkina Faso attack. 5 die in Ijebu Ode Road crash. Oyo seals illegal mining sites. Customs raises exchange rate for importers. Naira to rebound with $34.8 billion diaspora remittances. And Nigeria equities return rises to 10.7 trillion naira. Okay, which story are we starting in the nation?
Inflation of food price increase. So the nation carried out what they call a survey, an economic survey of food, an economic intelligence reports by by economic and finance firms surveyed by nation. And this indicated that continuing increase in cost of basic foods, logistics, energy, and other living items have pushed up inflation to about 27.5% in the month of October. They said that the indication shows that it may continue to rise to more than 110 basis points to more than 27.5% for October. And consumer price index, otherwise known as inflation rate, had risen for the ninth consecutive month from 25.80% in August to 26.72% in September. This, of course, is reflective of our realities right now with the way even Gary is now over 2,000 naira. Yeah. AfriInvest said it's expected inflation to rise by 102 basis points to 27.9% in October, and this is confirmed by nation.
Okay, so let me take the story on the Naira rebound. So despite the turbulent time facing the Naira, market forces or market feedback shows that the local currency will harness major positives before the end of this year. According to this report, the Naira appreciated by 21.76% against the dollar in the I&E window. The official market rate closing rate was about 780 Naira to the dollar, although parallel market is still about 1,100 at the end of the market time. According to this report, said when migrants sent home part of their earnings in the form of either cash or goods or to support their families, those transfers are known as workers or migrant remittances, and they're supporting the economy right now. According to PricewaterhouseCoopers, analysts said that one of the low-hanging fruits expected to trigger Naira's continued rebound is the remittances of about $34.8 billion from the diaspora Nigerians living and working abroad to strengthen the domestic economy. PricewaterhouseCoopers also estimated that 25.8 billion inflows from diaspora to Nigeria since 2021 that will double in the coming years. And they are expecting that this growth will indeed strengthen our domestic economy.
Yeah, so a human interest story. 5 persons died and 1 person was injured in yesterday's accident on the Ijebu-Ode-Ore Expressway. The accident happened about 6:09 a.m. at Ososa Junction, and it involved 2 unmarked vehicles, a Mack truck and a Honda Accord car. According to the story, they said the Honda Accord driver was speeding and had a side collision with the truck while trying to overtake it. Now, a statement by the Chief Route Commander and Federal Road Safety Corps, a Public Education Officer, Ogun Sector Command, Florence Ogbe, said the bodies had already been deposited at the Ijebu-Ode General Hospital morgue, and said the accident was or could have been avoidable if caution had been taken. And the advice is to stop making quick turns, on the expressway, or maybe where there's an intersection or a proper turning point. We must ensure that we slow down when we come to all those junctions. And so they said 8 persons were involved in the accident, 7 males, 1 female, 1 person was injured, and 5 persons died, while 2 other persons were unhurt. They are all been taken to the hospital in Ijebu-Ode.
Just be very grateful, extra grateful that you go and come, because we took over 50 people past that road on Saturday and came back and nothing happened. And when you hear stories like this, you just be extra grateful that don't take it for granted. I want to take the story of the financial institution, talking about financial inclusion. I took the story 2 weeks ago where Fidelity Bank had already said that because of the challenges of financial institution fraud, which has been said to be to the tune of 159 billion since 2020 till date, they stopped doing any transaction from Fidelity to Moneypoint and to OP, saying that there wasn't a proper know your customer process. But in a meeting, the CEO, the group CEO of Moneypoint, Tosin Enyolorunda, paid a courtesy visit to the chief executive officer of Fidelity, Nneka Onyeali Ikpe in Lagos, and he expressed the fact that they do a detailed check that no account is opened on Money Point without BVN verification done, and that they also understand that there are lots of fraud going on, but they are doing their best to ensure that it doesn't go through their own company. And on the other side, the CEO of Fidelity said that they are happy with the patience and the compliance they are going to release. So money, probably in a short while, Fidelity bank account holders can finally start doing transactions to Money Point, because I guess that's what they're trying to, in the financial inclusion, please collaborate to push through addressing payment challenges within the country. That was the conclusion of the meeting. I'm happy to see collaboration going on, and hopefully...
Great. Moving on now to the Punch. PDP LP kick as Uzodinma Ododo win protest in Bayelsa. Nigerians make unfair demands on lawmakers, says Senate President. Artist takes ill during church concert, dies in hospital. Israel, Hamas, Arab nations condemn Gaza killings, want ICC probe. FG aims for 1.9 million barrels, intensifies war against oil theft. Editors Summit, NGE draws Tinubu, Ribado, others to Uyo. VCs write FG, reject 40% versus IGR deduction. Dangote refinery secures license to refine 300,000 barrels per day crude. And Kale pays certain military Amazons, takes the last salute. Okay, story.
A human interest story. Performing artist based in Osogbo, Osun State, popularly known with the stage name Tola King, reportedly died after a brief illness at a church when during a concert that was happening on Saturday. So the governor of the Celestial Performing Artists Association of Nigeria in Osun State, Semitokpe Awoshika, confirmed the story and mentioned that he was performing alongside his other colleagues at a concert organized by the Celestial Church, located in Obalinde area of Osogbo, in the early hours of Saturday morning when he suddenly took ill. So they had to, sit him down. He was supposed to hand over the microphone to the next performer. And by the time he handed the microphone, he grabbed him from the back, and he said his breath was not consistent, so they had to take him in, sat him down, gave him first aid, and took him to a hospital in Osogbo. From that hospital, they referred him to another hospital in Ile-Ife, and while they were taking care of him till about 1 p.m., 2 p.m., he wasn't getting better, and then he slumped and died. So there was we're not told the cause of his death, but I'm sure investigations will confirm that.
Really sad.
So sorry.
We have the VC's story. So
Let's take that after the break. Okay. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with our reviews. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Still reviewing Punch. Any other story?
Yes, I have the VC story. So the Committee of VCs, Vice Chancellors of Nigeria, have responded to the letter signed by the Accountant General of the Federation, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Madeyin, and the Director of Revenue and Investment Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, where they said that the auto deduction policy of gross IGR was in line with the finance circular with reference to December 2021, and they gave all the details of the circular. But the details is that the federal government would plans to deduct 40% of the internally generated revenues of federal universities. The Committee of Vice Chancellors are saying when they have not been given autonomy, this should not even be considered by the federal government, and they're insisting they should rescind it. They said that if the federal government insists on continuing with this automatic deduction from internally generated revenues of university, of partially funded federal government institutions, they said this will fall back on parents, who are most likely, of course, parents are the ones majorly funding university education for kids in Nigeria. They are pleading, they are appealing, said that they should not shun their plea. And they said that parents should also join in fighting against this. specifically 40% could only be sent to the FD if there was a surplus. And if there's no surplus and they lack funding, the deductions should not go on right now. We understand that the government needs, revenue.
Yeah.
So they should tidy this up. If it is not feasible, it should not be done.
Okay, so I have the story of the Senate president who was represented by Senator representing Ogun Central, Shuaibu Salisu. They were speaking at the 100th birthday colloquium of the Second Republic lawmaker, Senator Kunle Oyero, organized by the Abeokuta Grammar School Old Boys Association and our Mr. Odunto. Odunto was also at that event. Anyway, so Otumba Tandi Odunto. So the Senate president was saying that one of the out of the three arms of government, the legislatures are the most hated and ridiculed. He said the problem is that the metrics, according to him, one arm of the government that people don't really understand is the lawmakers. He said that the problem is that the metric of measuring performance of legislators by the electorate is different from what is contained in the syllabus. According to him, what they're supposed to do is make laws, do oversight functions. But for Nigerians, the electorate, the metric they use is how many transformers you provide, how many physical material things you provide for the communities.
Yes.
That's their own measuring the stick for returning it. So if you don't do those things, you won't get a return ticket. But Otumba Odunto advocated that the lawmakers should still work part-time, regardless. Let me just make sure
I agree with him.
Yes. I want to take the story. Ongoing Israel-Hamas crisis has led to lots of death, and the Arab nation have opposed the Gaza occupation, and they want a probe by ICPC. This took place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, at the Joint Arab Islamic Extraordinary Summit. And they were demanding a ceasefire in the ongoing war. The United Nations public funds, as well as the United Nations Children's Funds and the World Health Organization, have called for urgent international action to end the ongoing attacks, especially on hospitals within Gaza. The summit also, in the summit, they also highlighted the fact that it's impossible to overlook the Palestinians' cause or attempt to ignore the right of the Palestinian people. So it is a combination of both sides, and they are asking that the ICPC probes what is going on. They are stressing that the Arab Peace Initiative needs to be backed by the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and that it's important that they work hand in hand to ensure there is peace within that region, especially since the vulnerable are being killed on a daily basis.
Okay, let me move on now to Daily Sun. APC wins Imo, Kogi, Diri, Silver, no faith today. Panic grips CBN staff over planned reorganization. Jam Lords Senate probes of admission racketeering. Cultists kill 5 in Rivers, give conditions for ceasefire. Identify arrest sponsors of electoral offenses in Bayelsa, Kogi, Imo, Serap tells INEC. NAF bombards terrorist stronghold in Borno, kills scores, destroys gun trucks and others. An NGA conference at Tinubu, Amuka, Obagbena, 300 editors to storm Uyo. Governor Eno is the guest of honor. Okay?
Yes, so a major reorganization at the Central Bank of Nigeria is, what everybody is looking forward to. This was revealed by Daily Sun. Said that redeployment and appointments are part of the recommendations of the panel currently probing the activities of the bank as ordered by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But now they don't know if it will involve termination of appointments, but experts are saying that the Apex Bank needs to be urgently reorganized. And the panel headed by Jim Obaze is also saying that they need to reset Nigeria's monetary policy to restore investors' confidence and general operation more efficiently. And they said that under the administration of the former president, President Muhammadu Buhari administration, they said the CBN ran like a political party. There were actions that were politically engineered, not economically motivated. And, this is unhealthy for a regulator body because the CBN should not even dabble into politics in the first place. And so they understand that sometimes the CBN needs like a political backing or support, but it should not be taking directives directly from politicians in their everyday operations. And so there's going to be a lot of house cleaning or reorganization, however I want to call it. So there's this fear, are they going to sack some people? Are they going to keep some people? Let's see how it plays out.
Yes, so Hurricane Cardoso is in CBN also. Daily Sun. APC wins Imo Kogi. I think I said that already. Let's look at that story. Let me take the Nigerian Air Force story. So, still in Daily Sun. The Nigerian Air Force yesterday said its fighter jets under the air component of Operation Hadinkai had bombarded another terrorist haven located at the Banki Junction areas in Borno State. The NAF Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Edward Gabquet, who made the disclosure, said that the terrorists perfected their plans to attack the troops' location around the Wajiroko area, where they had hidden 4 gun trucks under the thick shrubs. He said that their efforts aimed at clearing the remnants of terrorists, coming to terms that their efforts at causing mayhem and disunity among law-abiding Nigerians is over. The terrorists, who had hidden 4 gun trucks under the thick shrubs, had earlier perfected plans to attack the friendly troops' location, and they were bombarded by the fighter jets. So I'm happy about that.
Story. The
cultists, yes.
River State. So gunmen loyal to the wanted David Gift, that is known as Tubaba. It's not the Tubaba we know.
Oh, okay.
Suspected to be responsible for the killing of a superintendent of police, Ako Angbashim, and late divisional police officer of our police division, yesterday attacked the Odieme Renyi community in our East local government area of River State, and they killed 5 people. They threatened to continue the killing. The court is saying that the only condition for them to stop the killing, according to an eyewitness who refused to, whose brother was also deceased, killed by these 5 people who refused to be identified, said that the courtists, some of them are Charles Osu, Ogbola AJ, and 2 others, that they said they have to release their sympathizers and sponsors. The Nigerian police has to release their sponsors and sympathizers, as well as chiefs that the police arrested after the killing of the DPO, or else they will continue to attack that community and continue killing people.
Okay, Vanguard.
Yeah, no, I still have a story in the Sun. It's the story about the Minister for State for Defense, Matawale, speaking concerning the fact that there is hope that the government, based on the actions of the government to reduce oil theft, they're planning to boost our oil production to 1.9 million barrels before the end of this year. We're currently at about 1 million, 1 million barrels per day because of the activities of oil theft within the Niger Delta region. But they said the federal government's action has been yielding results. They said there's been a combined onslaught of military against oil thieves. And that production now is at 1.7 million, and the plan is by the end of the year, it will get to 1.9. They are taking this very seriously, working in conjunction with the Navy. He said that the president had invested heavily in modern weapon and equipment for the military to be able to bring an end to all form of crime, including banditry and oil theft. And this is after he came back from a trip to Turkey, and it is to see the attack helicopters that have been acquired by Nigeria. So we're looking forward to increased oil production, because it would also mean increased forex coming into Nigeria, and hopefully Nigeria would have more defense against the drop in its naira value. There were many other things said, but if people can get the details on how they are planning to achieve the 1.9 million barrels by the end of the year.
All right, Vanguard, very quickly. Let's find a story of Nautica. Alleged missing racketeering. Alleged admission racketeering. Senate probe welcome, says JAM. Wanted killer of Rivers DPO, Tubabas men storm community, kills 5. 2024 budget, how to end Nigeria's economic woes, says Senate. Insecurity now, businesses, Matawale. Edo to become first world economy, says Obaseki and others. An annual confab, Amuka Al-Shaba, Obaya gonna lead 300 letters to Uyo. Okay, which story we have from Vanguard?
JAM racketeering. Alleged admission racketeering happening in JAM right now. The Senate had called that, JAM will be probed along this for admission racketeering, and the JAM registrar responded at an event this weekend where he said that he welcomes the Senate. He's even commending them for considering the probe. This was centered around a JAM candidate, Chinyere Ekwe, who wrote JAM and got a 291, and at the time when her score was done for post-UME rating, she had 241, which was below the course of choice, which was medicine and surgery in Unsuka. And so she was offered by the university the option of taking medical laboratory as a course, which she did. Ordinarily, you should go to JAM and do a change of course form. I feel a change of course form, which, you know, validates the new offer,
yes.
which she didn't do. So the school continued with it, only for the school to over-admit for students' quota for medical laboratory, which now affect her. That they are now blaming
now took her out.
JAM for it, yes. So JAM is saying they're completely free. They would like a probe, you know, because they know they are...
All right, let me just take some good news coming from Edo. So, Governor Obaseki Chai, who's the chairman of the Board of Trustees at Alagodaro Economic Summit, and the Dr. Aswe Godaro have been saying yesterday that Edo State has the potential to become the first world economy on the continent. Says that since they started the summit in the last 7 years, they've attracted $4 billion, noting that the states could drag Nigeria out of its untapped potential, redirecting the nation out of poverty to a point of development. He was saying that Edo State has grown 140% from the economy of $10 billion to $25.8 billion, and is going to be growing 4%. So that's some good news. Hopefully, if they can indeed harness its potential in Edo State, it can help Nigeria to get out of poverty. Let's go on a break now. When we come back, move on to a sponsor segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So elections took place over the weekend in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi. And as it is customary with the show over the years, we'll be reviewing those poll results. Join us to do justice to this is the Group Controller, Current and Public Affairs, TVC Communications, Mr. Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, sir.
Good morning, Your View women.
No. Welcome, welcome. Well, good to have you. So, I mean, over the weekend, all eyes was on Bayelsa, Imo, Kogi. Let's start with Imo because obviously PDP and LP have started crying foul that that you know this was totally not the results they were expecting. What are your own general summation on last weekend's elections?
So many things happened during those elections that I wished never happened. We've got to defeat vote buying in our country. What I saw during the last elections point clearly to the fact that the way we are going, vote buying will continue to characterize our elections.
Wow.
In fact, the Nigerian politician has discovered that it is not easy to rig elections like before because of the coming of beavers. Beavers is a revolutionary tool. When you compare it to the card reader, it has made elections far more difficult to rig. I was telling people that some years back, votes coming from some states used to be in millions. But during the last presidential election, some of the states where we used to receive votes in millions, some winners scored like 250,000 and the rest, yes.
The shock.
Yes. For me, for example, the presidential election result from Borno State was a shock because I expected that it would come in excess of 1 million. But that was not what we saw. So, and I recall speaking to a big politician on the eve of the election, and he thought I had disconnected at my end. And he was warning his foot soldiers that, you know, they are going to use beavers We have to be serious. We have to really go to town, get people to come out and vote. We have to work harder. This is beavers they are going to use. He was saying those things. And I just listened and listened. My way of doing some journalistic espionage. Let me hear some more heart-shaking remarks.
But to stay on that for a second, before we even continue, a lot of people still say that, the last elections were the worst we've had because they feel that, that IREF was a major component, before even going to last weekend's election. So since you're talking about the fact that many said that beavers was a major factor in the fact into giving us the realistic numbers that we saw in these past elections. But what would you say to those who are insisting that this was one of the worst elections?
You mean
Presidential elections.
those saying that don't know what they are saying. I've seen elections far worse than that. In fact, the 2007 elections in modern Nigeria, the 2007 presidential election was probably the worst because for that election, ballot materials were not serialized, which means you could take ballot papers from Edo State, you could take it all the way to Kogi and use. And in the history of presidential election litigation, the closest to having the presidential election annulled was in respect of that 2007 election when the judges voted 4-3, the Supreme Court judges. We never had anything close to that. It was a split decision and it was close, 4-3. Because the judges felt that, look, where you do not have serialized ballot papers, how do you account for the integrity of that election? What someone told me initially was that, look, it was even at the last minute that they decided, that some of them decided that, look, we can't set our country back by canceling this election because in the past, you could spend 3 years on election litigation. Obasanjo won the 2003 election, again another terribly rigged election, where in Ogun State, his home state, the votes recorded by his party exceeded the number of registered voters.
As in,
the Supreme Court said I was in the Supreme Court. Yes, I covered the judgment of the Supreme Court, and I heard what they said. Because during those years, we didn't have elections. They were simply writing.
And it was one of the forces that wanted to set the country on fire this year when the whole... Anyway, let's come back to...
Yeah, let's go back to...
So we had elections in the past where figures were simply written. Nothing like beavers, nothing like card readers.
Everything was...
We had elections in the early 80s, 1983, when people were beaten up on election day and results were simply written. I can't blame those who were in their diapers in those years.
I don't know.
In saying that, oh, this is the worst election. How many elections have they seen? Did they see wet here, for example?
So, sir, let's go back to Saturday's election. So the PDP and LP are calling for a total poll cancellation after the declaration saying that INEC had likely connived to, upturn the real results. What do you have to say?
That's for Kogi or where?
Yes, for even
for Imo
State.
Oh.
Yeah.
You see, there are certain things that we can't take away from our elections. We have not reached that point when we will have perfect elections. Let's not deceive ourselves. As INEC is trying to reform the process, as INEC is working towards electoral integrity, the Nigerian politician is a terribly devious individual. The Nigerian politician will find a way
around it.
Where the Nigerian politician is clearly the favorite to win an election, he will still look for crooked means that can ensure that...
Widen the gap.
That he does not want to take chances. Because he thinks that, look, if he takes it easy, the competition may not take it easy. So despite having a big chance of winning, a very big chance of winning, he will still seek to manipulate the process. And they use INEC staff. Before now, they will bribe INEC staff to sell from EC8A on which the results are written to them. So this result, when they sell to them, they will bribe INEC staff at the level of collation, and the results will be swapped at the local government collation centers. They were doing this a lot. Now, since it's a lot difficult to do that because the law, the regulations of INEC now says, okay, from the polling center, you can upload the result. Yes. So they bypassed this idea of, okay, we take the result sheets to the collation center, the local government headquarters, where they can swap in transit. They no longer, they know that that is very difficult to do now. So when they compromise INEC staff, you then find what sort of thing that was going to happen in Ogorimagongo, where result had been pre-written. So if the agents are not vigilant, that pre-written result goes in. But we thank God that there was vigilance, not even vigilance. And those guys said, no, show us result sheets for this election in the blank form. They've grown accustomed to the tricks that they use.
Yeah, so they know how to...
You know, a situation in which somebody who used to be in the PDP, familiar with the PDP rigging machine, goes into the APC.
Yes, now teaches them what they've been doing.
What they've been doing over the years. When
it comes back to
the
PDP
dominant
again.
political party.
Yes.
Today, the APC is the dominant political party.
Yes.
They have their own modus operandi.
Yeah. All right, let me get a few more questions for you.
Yes. So, Bayelsa elections, we've not heard the final result because, of course, of the peculiarities of Bayelsa. Let's let our viewers know, some of these peculiarities and why we shouldn't judge it as INEC failing.
I was really worried about Bayelsa election because it was in Bayelsa that I saw boys from the creeks.
Yes.
Beating a policeman, a very senior, high-ranking policeman, beating him in broad daylight. That was during the last election. And I was like, look, they've got to deal with these boys. That is an aside. In this election, the highest number of abducted INEC staff happened in Bayelsa. Some are still in captivity as we speak. Because, look, the riverine areas are places where you've got to worry about the fidelity of the votes coming from that end. Because these are very difficult areas to access, even for INEC staff. A lot of manipulations usually take place. So as we speak now, we are waiting for the result from Southern Ijaw and what's the other one? I think Brass.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, because 6 results, 6 local governments have been released now, and the governor has won 5. Silva won 1. I think Nembe.
Nembe, yes.
Silva is from Brass. The governor has a fairly comfortable lead. It's a small state, just 8 local governments. And the population is really small. So with such a lead from the governor, it looks extremely difficult for Silva. It looks extremely difficult. This election, and you see protests from both sides. If this one organizes women to protest, the other one too will get his own women to protest. So they are trying to impress us, but we know the game. It's difficult to have free and fair elections in Bayelsa State. Sometimes you see they pump soldiers onto our streets. But the question is, whose bidding are those soldiers doing? I've seen where soldiers deliberately, they were told, look, this cosmopolitan part of the state, this is the party that is strongest. Suppress the votes from that end. And how do soldiers help politicians to suppress votes? They create multiple checkpoints along the road leading to polling centers. And some people will be willfully turned back.
Okay.
So if the votes are not impressive from that end, it puts the opponent at an advantage.
Yes. All right, we have to go on a break. When we come back, there's still more to talk about participation. Kogi election is another interesting part of this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing last weekend's elections, and we're sticking with Imo State for now. Tope, let me come to you.
Okay, so you started your comments concerning this elections about the fact that it's heavily monetized. People are vote buying has become the new thing. So we're no longer padding the vote. We're no longer writing results. We're now doing vote buying. And really, can we solve vote buying with the level of inflation and corruption in this country? How can we address getting credible elections with the vote buying system? How do we educate the population to collect the money and still vote their conscience? How can we grow democracy with vote buying? I'd like to hear your opinion on that, sir.
It's difficult now. It's very difficult. It's getting to a point that we must accept that this has come to be part of our electoral tradition. As bad as it is, politicians are devising new methods of buying the conscience of our people, and it is clear that the Nigerian politician is weaponizing poverty by your misrule, by your misgovernance. You created so many pauperized Nigerians, and those pauperized Nigerians simply can't turn away from gifts that you give them on election day. This thing became rife in Ondo State some years back when they said Dibo fun wa ko sebe. That was the slogan, Dibo fun wa ko sebe. Vote for us and cook stew. And prepare a stew.
Okay, obe.
Yes, obe, you know. So they started giving people money, and like play, politicians now see it as the best guarantee for electoral victory. These days, they commit so much money into vote buying that they actually start vote buying sometimes a week to the election. They go, when they talk about door-to-door campaign, they are slipping money into people's hands. They are distributing, in Imo, they are distributing, even by Esther, they are distributing gari, rice, and money to people. In Osun State, ahead of the governorship election, Salah was approaching. They were giving people livestock. They will go to a particular homestead and give them livestock. It's vote buying, for God's sake. Vote buying is no longer limited. In fact, if you limit vote buying to election day, your chances of winning could be slim. So this time around, even in Kogi, people were given coupons. Those coupons meant that, look, we are going to give you 2 items. You get 6 yards of cotton and then 5,000 naira. People have been trained to pretend to be illiterate so that the person who verifies that you indeed voted for them can see clearly who you voted for. Because if you pretend to be illiterate, you then say, look, I don't know which one, but I prefer this particular group, this particular party that has maybe umbrella or broom. You say that you've already been
And
told.
they will confirm.
So somebody who is a graduate would then show it to the agent of the party that has been stationed there to facilitate vote buying.
Sure.
That one will now say, okay, this is it. He will now...
Make sure.
Yes, make sure. So they are not simply going to give you money with...
So you can't vote conscience.
No, they are looking at you. And unfortunately, the cubicles, I once told the INEC chairman that perhaps the cubicles should be higher because people can easily see, the agents that they position can easily see who you are voting for. And if you didn't vote for them, you will not get anything.
Okay, I would like us to talk about conscience a bit later because that conscience that keeps coming up, I don't know if Nigerians really do have conscience, but we'll come to that issue later. Let's go back to Imo State. The gap was gigantic.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, how
Could it
they
be real?
pull that off? I mean, those real numbers. I mean, you just wonder, because even I was going to go to Kogi in a minute, where his was about less than 10% of the winner, and that's was a Memelaye. But staying with Imo for a second, that gap was quite rather wide. The town or what?
How buy that kind of gap in
Yeah.
the first place? Or people really came out to vote? Or you put in so much work into getting those numbers?
A lot of factors were at play here. If Emeka Ihedioha had contested that election, there's no way Governor Hope Uzodinma will have those numbers. No way. I don't know the circumstances that forced Ihedioha to give up. He won the last election. He was governor for some months before the Supreme Court took it off him and gave Hope. Suddenly, he decided I was no longer interested. He quit the race. He's very popular, especially in Owerri zone, which is the most densely populated zone, senatorial zone. The governor is from Olu zone. The other zone is Okigwe. Now, Owerri has not produced a governor, so the people really want to produce a governor. Now, Ihedioha left, and Sam Dadi, Sam Anyanwu, former secretary of the PDP, took that governorship slot. A good number of Ihedioha supporters refused to work for Sam Anyanwu. They voted for Hope Uzodinma. They made up their minds because they felt that, look, their man was forced out of the race.
Right.
You know, for someone to just get up and say, okay, I'm no longer contesting. Somebody who had been in the race for so long, and somebody that people had sympathy for because the election in 2019 was won by him. So that helped. That weakened the PDP and gave Hope Uzodinma the edge. Then, talking about the choice of deputy governor, Hope Uzodinma did what the governor of Adamawa did. The governor of Adamawa had a man as deputy governorship candidate.
Swapped.
Before the elections, we had him dropped and picked a woman, a professor, a VC, I think VC of the State University. Hope did the same thing. Because, see, women are far easier to mobilize for elections than men.
Men, yeah.
I've seen that because I lived in the north. I'm conversant with voter behavior in that part of our country. It's a lot easier to mobilize women. And when the women say they are going in this direction,
That's it.
that is it. There is a woman who lost her ward by just six votes in Imo State. One, Maria, lost her ward by 6 votes to the PDP. She was, it was impossible
Hysterical.
to console her. She kept weeping. She felt she let herself down.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of loyalty that women give you. And also Uzodinma did what you call denominational balance. He is Catholic, his deputy is Catholic, but this time around, he brought an Anglican. So you can see that, okay, people will look at things now and say, look, this person is fair to all. He's brought somebody. So that also helped him. And then we've been telling them, look, if you vote for me from this Owerri zone, I will guarantee that it's an Owerri man that becomes the next governor. So he used that to campaign. Finally, in my view, apart from the fact that, okay, he did well in terms of roads construction, he also got the people to see clearly that, look, the insecurity that we've been having is politically motivated. You can't blame me for it. So a lot of the people already made up their minds that they will vote this guy. And he reconciled with the APC leaders before the election. You see the caliber of people attending his rallies. I was surprised how he managed to do it.
Yeah.
Even Okorocha, my friend.
Yes, I was surprised. I saw.
Okorocha too.
Politics.
So he found a way to, whereas the PDP was badly dismembered. Ask anybody who is committed to the truth. The PDP in the state that they were could not have gone to that election and win. That's why it was how do you go into a race divided? When you go into a race divided, you stand no chance of winning.
Yeah.
That's why I laugh at Atiku when Atiku wants the world to believe that he won the last election. How do you win an election in which a Kwankwaso, you allowed Kwankwaso to leave your party just because of one key position in the NWC that Kwankwaso's protege wanted to occupy? They insisted that he would not get it. He left the party. That's more than 1 million votes from Kano gone.
Hi.
Then we had those governors, that left. People like Wiki and all of them. You had Obitu also left. If they had remained, all of them, those three candidates, between them they had 14-point-something million votes. It would have been a rout. Ashwaju would have been blown out of the water.
Yeah.
But they didn't see the need to resolve their differences. They lost the election. They are now hysterical. They are saying all kinds of things.
Let's talk.
I have to go on a break. When we come back, we continue our conversation. Stay with us.
Questions? Yes.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have our guest, Mr. Jide Kolade Otitoju. Yes, Nima.
So, another interesting state for me was Kogi. And I'll just start quick. No, Kogi is so Gami State. Yes, quickly from Senator Dino Melaye's polling unit. He won his polling unit. Only for facts to come out later that he himself did not vote. He alleged that it was scientifically rigged. He does not trust the system. What are the implications of a candidate not taking part in elections?
The law says you must be involved in every phase of the election to be properly elected. He did not vote. That means he was not involved in every phase of the election. You have to vote and be voted for. It's there.
That's still subject to interpretation. No? Somebody can say, I campaigned. Must I vote?
You must vote for yourself.
You must vote and be voted for. If we had time, I will show you that portion. Yes.
Okay.
Vote for yourself.
It's there. It even came up during Faleke versus Abelo.
Okay, sir.
It's the law.
So, I think about 3 elections ago, anybody that watches Your View then will know that I always carry political matter on my head. I had to switch from
like Oshuka.
I just loved the intrigues of politics.
The way Bonner Boy said.
But I've now moved to loving money. However, it's impacting our business. It's impacting life. And because of my love for politics, I see that the intrigues would never favor the people. At every point in time, the political machinery would work to favor the politicians. And their work is to ensure people remain impoverished so that it's easy to buy votes, it's easy to convince them to come back again. Is it possible for the people to rally and for us to have a definite change in the political... It's not even about APC or PDP, like a definite change. Can the people rally against this current political system? Is there any hope, maybe in the next 4 years or 8 years? How do you forecast that?
That's a really tough question. I badly want to see a Nigeria where the voter is the king. Where we can chase away bad leaders with our votes. where the fidelity of our elections is guaranteed, where you can be sure that the election will proceed without vote rigging and other malpractices. But it's extremely difficult here. There are some things that politicians do that even INEC right now cannot do anything about. Politicians, when they see that their opponent is strong in an area, they send talks to go and disrupt voting there. Yes. And what the INEC regulations say is that where voting is characterized by violence, they will cancel the elections there. That way you have rewarded the aggressor without knowing. You've rewarded the aggressor. Look at the presidential election. In some parts of the north, serious fighting took place in some polling centers. I know that a lot of those fights were deliberate, meant to weaken the capacity of some parties to win. You know, so it's not rigging in the way that we are familiar with, but it's still rigging. Because rigging gives you an unfair advantage. Well, by ensuring that votes do not count where a politician is strong, you've rigged him out. That's the way I see it. We've got to be able to find a balance. Ensure that, look, the aggressor does not get rewarded for his actions. Secondly, if we have a succession of good elections, and this will happen if we continually reform the electoral process. If we have a succession of good elections, those elections will inevitably breed good leaders. Because people now know that you cannot rig the election. I keep telling people, India is currently the world's most populated country. They've overtaken China. India is the world's biggest democracy. They do both electronic and manual voting. It's, for most countries of the world, it's difficult to wholly do, if not impossible, to wholly do electronic voting. Paper trail still has to come in at some point. Apart from countries like maybe Estonia, very small countries, those are countries that they could say, oh, we are technologically strong enough to do 100% electronic voting. And even at that, for the purpose of record keeping, they still must keep that paper trail. So India combines electronic with manual voting, but you won't be able to rig an election as big as it is. Wow. Do you know how many Nigerians you can take out of India in terms of the landmass? Yes. You know? Do you know how many?
They got something right.
Yes, they found a way to make sure that you cannot rig the process. Who the people want will still become the winner of the election. And if you don't work for the people, they will kick you out. In fact, for little things, when Sonia Gandhi led the Congress party to victory some years back, what did she campaign on? The wife of Rajiv Gandhi. She campaigned on the fact that India has experienced economic prosperity, but nobody is taking care of people in the slums. That was her mantra. That was what she campaigned on. Come and see voting. People were shocked. The whole world was shocked that a very successful prime minister, Vajpayee, who was credited with turning India into a big IT power, was swept out of office. Wow. Dozens of MPs lost their seats because she campaigned, she focused on the poorest of the poor and told them, look, you've been left behind in the prosperity of India. And that message resonated. And they couldn't use incumbency, they chased them away. So we should get to that point.
Yes, how do we get to that point where the message that the people who are coming to contest, their message resonates? Because what I see is, they may know that this person would likely do the work, But because the person is not dropping rice or dropping gari or dropping anything, they will not vote for you. We are more into this stomach infrastructure. How do we get to that point where even the poor will refuse to collect anything because they want to vote the person they believe can do the work? It's all one.
It is. The people are battling to survive. Just check your phone and see the number of people asking you for favor every given day.
Yes.
It wasn't like that before. Today, when your phone rings, you are scared to even pick it, especially if it's a non-familiar number.
Yes.
Because it could be one favor that you are not even in position to offer that they're asking for. So people who are battling existential problems, people who are struggling to survive, who do not know where their next meal will come from. It is easy for the political class to weaponize poverty.
Yes.
They will take the money.
Let me pause you for a second. I have a call. Oloyede calls for me. Thanks for calling. Oh, I'm sorry I lost that call. So, the reason, I'll come to you, Nima. The reason why I wanted to come back to the issue of conscience is because this word conscience, when you say vote your conscience, you're thinking, who are we talking to exactly? Because when I traveled to Maiduguri some months back, and I saw a huge crowd of people there, and I was looking at them, I'm thinking, the mind of this person, I want to compare it to the person I see in Lagos, for example, maybe the working class. And they are two different human beings. Yes. This one is on social media, talking, saying, speaking her views, their thoughts. This one is like listening to what our leader has said, and we're going. And I could see that, I could see their mindset. They are two different human beings. And I'm thinking to myself, when I say vote your conscience, who am I talking to exactly? Whose conscience? Like, how do we, can we really trust the Nigerian conscience?
That's the question.
Can I even trust this conscience? Because we're all saying, let them vote there. Because which conscience? Is it the man that is hungry, that is starving, that wants to eat whatever you give to him?
The conscience itself is influenced by all kinds of variables.
Exactly.
Ethnicity,
Religion.
you know, money. These are key factors that shape electoral behavior in our country. You see some of those clerics. That's why politicians take those clerics seriously. If the clerics turn against you, people have seen these clerics as assistants to God. Whatever they say, they take it. When clerics were preaching against COVID, many people in the north believed that COVID did not exist, that it existed in the imagination of some people.
Yes.
When some clerics were preaching against vaccination against polio, many people felt, look, I should not get vaccinated though. Even this vaccine that they brought the other day for young, some clerics were preaching against it. So it influences our people a lot. So at the end of the day, a man decides who to vote for, not having been led by his inner mind or by his so-called conscience, but by what somebody else told him. Somebody that he has come to see as his God on earth. What he told him to do is what he goes ahead to do. And that's why they have such cult following that before an election, you must patronize them. Otherwise, they work against you. And when they work against you, the impact could be fatal for you. So, as you said, voter behavior in Lagos will never be the same as in the north. In the north, people are a lot easier to mobilize. Here, they register, perhaps they need the PVC for something else. They hardly come out to vote. On election day, you see people playing football in the neighborhood. But over there, they are easier to mobilize.
Let me pause you for a second. I have a call that comes to Nima. Izuma has been holding. Good morning, Izuma.
Yeah, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Mr. Jude, good morning.
Good morning, Izuna.
Yeah, sorry. I'm calling this program just to inform you just. I just came back from my place, from Imo State. We didn't do election. There's no election. It's on the 11th of Saturday. But to my greatest surprise, we saw a result. I used to follow you as a journalist and you don't know me. I trade in the trade fair. You know, that is where I do my work. But we used to listen to you every day by day. what is happening in this country. Very, very unfortunate. I just came back yesterday and I traveled home just to pick the leader of my choice. But there are any people.
I didn't hear him. Did you hear him?
He said there was no voting in his local government, I mean in his community, but that they saw results. And he was saying that they used to listen to me. Apparently he was going to say, but these days you don't speak the truth anymore. I'm used to
So
it.
that local government now, well, hopefully if we check IREV to see if indeed voting took place. Because sometimes when I say on the phone that, oh, voting did not take place in my local government, and I know somebody who was talking about it, oh, they did not vote. When IREV now came out, I said, Uncle, what's your polling unit? These are the numbers from your polling unit. Why so people come up with all these things, but we never know. But let me come to Nima.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about, pauperizing the people, why this corruption and vote buying is popular. Most times when we sit there on Saturday evening, we're discussing election and prices of food, and somebody say, Ashiwaju is not paying us, it's your family, the things are hard and everything is hard. And I was like, each state and each state governors are the direct closest governors
To the people.
machinery that you have to the people. And these governors enjoy office without necessarily accounting or showing any work they do. For instance, they are the ones who will now come and buy votes. The federalists all the way there in Abuja. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about, the performances of some of these governors and why it counted or did not count in their favor.
These days, a governor may not work and still get re-elected. Some of the governors that left office in May, I know some really poor ones that didn't work for the people, but some of them still found their way into the Senate. So that means our people have rewarded inefficiency, incompetence, and all that. Some people, some governors are not good enough to head their community associations, but they still win elections. And that's why I keep saying that, look, we've got to do something about our leadership recruitment module, because it's not delivering the right leaders for us. Leaders who have conscience, leaders who put the people first. There are not many in our country. We have a lot of leaders who put their families first, who put their friends first. You people find their ways into government. They have opportunities to pick people who will man agencies of government, who will man ministries, man boards. It is their friends that they first think about, or their family members. Some we will think about their wives first. They do not care about headhunting the right people, people with competence, people who have conscience, people who truly fear God. Because the Nigerian politician will keep talking about God, 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 God all the time, but they don't have fear of God. It's all impotent religiosity.
Oh.
They don't fear God. When you fear God, you know that God has entrusted people in your care, and you must do your best to take good care of them. But if you come up with policies that make the people poorer, that leads to deaths of people, how can you then say you have conscience or that you fear God? It's really perplexing.
Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue and wrap up with this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the elections. Let's talk about Dino Melaye for a minute, because he's been a major character in many of these elections, even before the presidential elections, even during the announcement of the result. We saw his drama. Since then, things calmed down, and then suddenly he says, I'm running for governor, come and vote for me. And we started seeing him around. Now, what are your thoughts? What do you think about his political relevance going forward, or how can he still remain relevant? At least in PDP, because PDP need all their soldiers right now. I mean, they seem to be somewhat drowned, especially with what happened with Atiku and all that. So they need all their key players to be united and back together. So what are your thoughts on his political future?
Well, it's really tough. He has the opportunity to bounce back. Age is on his side, just as age is on Muritala Jaka's side too. What happened to PDP in Kogi is similar to what happened to PDP in Lagos during the governorship election. Check the figures. They are similar in terms of the very poor performance that the PDP put off. I personally told people that Dino will come third in this election. Many times, Dolapo and I said he will come a distant third. So yesterday he called me and said, Oga, Emma Sobe.
46,000, I think, he gathered?
46. He came third. You see, the fact of Leke Abejide even contesting, and he's also from my area, from Okunland. There's a candidate from AA, there's Leke Abejide, there's Dino. It doesn't help. How did Yabelo manage to get only, or let me say, how did Ebraland manage to have only Ododo on the ballot?
Yes.
No other person
Other
got up from
person.
any party.
Yes.
When Natasha won the senatorial election, when journalist Angatayo asked me, he said, this Natasha's victory may alter the calculation. I said, the Ibiras will not see their son on the ballot and vote for someone else. And this is the truth, because it happened in 1983 when Cornelius Adebayo, the candidate of the UPN, picked Usman Abatemi and Ibrahman as his deputy. And the sitting governor at that time was Adamu Atta. So they saw that Adamu Atta had a better chance of staying in office. They didn't even imagine that Abatemi was there. They totally voted for the Atta ticket. Yes. And that's what we saw again today. Yes, the opposition is saying that some of the numbers from Okene were cooked up and all that. I am not in position, because I'm not a judge, to determine whether they were lying or not. The courts can easily determine that the same way the court determined that Natasha was the rightful winner of the senatorial election, and Natasha didn't need IREF to prove that she won the election. She used the physical result from EC8A, the result sheet, to prove that she indeed won that election. So, Dino coming third is not something that came to me as a surprise. I had long envisaged that that's the way the elections will go. Because the people of the Kogi East will vote overwhelmingly for their son. You know, because Ajaka ran a very strong campaign. Though there were other people from that zone who contested. But Ajaka's campaign was very formidable, and it was far better organized than the rest of them. So I knew that there would be a deluge of votes going to him. So once he locks up that side, there's no way Dino will be able to fish from Kogi East. And already our own people in Okunland were not going to vote for Dino. I don't want to talk about some of those. Because
as an addendum to this question I asked you, because what of PDP on the larger scale? Because with what happened with the election results from the tribunal, and I see a few of their big wigs like Dele Momodu, and everybody just trying to just keep that opposition alive. That listen, we are still here. Do you think there's a struggle between that LP PDP where somebody's fighting to be the main opposition against APC, and what can they do to get stronger? Because now, elections are about to be completely over now, and everybody's going to focus on 2027 coming up. What are your own thoughts as regards PDP? How can they get their strength back to where it was before?
They have to forgive one another and allow real reconciliation to take place. The refusal to reconcile is what cost them in Plateau. Look at what has happened in Plateau. It's a tragedy. Losing all your House of Reps members, losing your House of Assembly members because you failed to carry out the instruction of the court. The party leadership refused to reconcile. So in the recent, there was no structure. The primaries that were supposed to hold did not hold. At the end of the day, they cancelled because you can't build something on nothing. So the court said, okay, because you didn't do this, just because they couldn't reconcile and agree on power sharing and all that, they lost everything. So in Imo now, they also have issues. Some daddy's men and Hedioha's people, they refuse to reconcile. And you saw them move to go and support Hope Uzodinma. So the same thing happened at the presidential election. They didn't reconcile. So if you have a party that does not have the means of resolving internal disputes, that party would inevitably go down. You've got to resolve things when there will be disagreement, but you've got to resolve, come together.
You know what I remember now? The prayer. I remember that prayer points that they give us in church. God has sent the camp of my enemies. Send some confusion in the camp of my enemies. That's exactly
to focus on fighting themselves.
It shows that we are in the same WhatsApp group. Because as he was saying it, I was thinking it.
So PDP needs prayer points. They need a prayer point to bring us back together.
I think Nigerians need prayer points. That leaders that will not serve us,
God should chase them away. God should chase them away. God should sort them out.
Sort them out. Even we started talking in our WhatsApp group. But, you know, rounding off, there are people that are disgruntled, and we need to speak to them. Because as long as we have people that are sitting that observe our elections from a point of view of they against us, and are not willing to rally after elections for the growth towards the growth for the people, we would always have issues.
Yes.
So what would you say to those that are watching now and saying, this is not an election, it's not free, it's not fair, it's not going to work, and they are not going to in any way collaborate with the government?
It's, on social media these days, people are not even ready for a healthy argument. They made up their minds, whatever you say, they will not believe. Okay, we were discussing here, trying to explain one reason cannot cause someone to win an election or lose an election. It's usually a multiplicity of factors. But some people have made up their minds, oh, the elections were rigged. They will not look at the mistakes that they made on their own that made it easier for the opponent to win. They won't. So where people have this mindset, how do you talk to them, for God's sake? Where somebody who came to has already made up his mind that he's the one who won.
Or he's been announced in America as the president of Nigeria.
Yes, someone who won just 2 out of 19 northern states. And those 2 were Christian-dominated states. You didn't find a way to convince the core north. And the greater percentage of the votes are there. And you are still saying that the one who won. How do I convince you that you are a liar? They won't listen. People have made up their mind, it's the worst election in history. And you ask, how many electoral cycles have they even seen?
Did you observe?
How many that have they seen? How old are they? They made up their mind, it's the worst. But I know with the passage of time, we will come to reality. Whether we like it or not, we need to build a good nation, a nation that works for all. And hopefully, as Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the road has been bumpy, but we hope that some of this reform will deliver dividends in the final analysis, because that's what the World Bank and others are saying, that they hope that political expediency will not make him to change some of the big decisions that he has taken, because they will bring dividends in the final analysis.
I can't let you go without saying something. Lots of political activists are calling for, right now, so the elections are over. Supreme Court has made an announcement, but we still have activists trying to incite. Going on social media, saying that we are going to shut down Nigeria, we're going to do all sort of things. What can we do? I know protesting and, pulling down this nation. What can we do? What do you think? How do we resolve this?
How should Nigerians respond to those calls?
Nigerians should just ignore them.
Can we ignore them? They're in our faces. They're in front of us every single day.
Oh, so what do we then do? We can't flog them.
Their noise is heavy on social media.
Yeah, that is what they have. But if they now come to Abuja to say they want to surround the seat of power because they don't like the man who is there, of course they will be resisted. When you take the law into your hands, you'll be resisted.
Some protests have been very costly. People have been incited to burn down state investments that had huge, that we cannot even sit down here and do the accounting.
It happened
on a sitting court in this country. You know, huge investments. Those are such inciting comments online should even be, you know.
They are going to eventually push this country to change the cyber laws so that some of them cannot get away with the nonsense that they are doing. Because people who are ensconced abroad, they are based abroad, they are far away from the fury here. And they are throwing stones at us, trying to get our people to kill one another. Whereas they are safe where they are with their children. Those people should be ignored. If you really feel so bad about our country, you want to change it, come here. Let's survey the country together right here, not by staying abroad and then stoning your country. So I still think that we should appeal to the sensibilities of decent Nigerians that, look, the social media is such a toxic environment. If you can't stay away, ignore the message from the enemies of our country who have given up on the country and they want to win as many people to their side as possible.
Right. I have to wrap up. So let's stay away from enemies of Nigeria. Let's call them as they are.
And from their language, we know.
Enemies of Nigeria. We'll stay away from you. That's all we can take. Thank you so much, Mr.
It's great having you.
It's always a pleasure having you. We hope you come more often.
It's always a pleasure sitting.
Come more often. That's what we want. Come more often.
You know, the man in the midst of women is a blessed man.
Have a lovely day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.